Today's homily is going to be just a bit different because that first reading is so important. It really is worth looking at it and almost doing a little Bible study about it. We're talking about Elijah the prophet. He lived around 850 BC. Now, I'll give you a range of times. Solomon was around 940, 930. So this is about a century after Solomon. And the kingdom has divided. We have the southern kingdom of Judah. The northern 10 tribes are Israel. And the problem with Israel, it's a mixed bag. You have one village that's Jewish, the next village is pagan. And it's very possible that Israel's going to be invaded very soon. So the king wants to hedge his bets. He marries a pagan woman, figuring that this way, if a war starts, the pagans won't go against him. The unfortunate thing is he doesn't choose the best of women. You might recognize her name. She's called Jezebel. So there's problems. In fact, her father is a king, but also a priest of Baal, the pagan god. And already the people in Israel, they were tempted a little bit by Baal because Yahweh, their God, is a desert God. Remember how they met him in the desert, Mount Sinai, staying in the desert 40 years? Where Baal is the god of fertility, of agriculture. So if you're planting a crop, who do you pray to? You might hedge your bets, right? And in fact, that's what the people of Israel tended to do. They hedged their bets. And it's not like they were monotheists. Monotheists believing in one God. There's a different term we use for them. Henotheist. Henotheist means, I will worship Yahweh, you worship your gods, and you never say that they're not gods. Everybody just sort of goes their own way. But as I just said, they're not even faithful to that, are they? So Jezebel, as soon as she becomes queen, starts persecuting the Jewish prophets immediately. And Elijah is left, the last prophet. And so he says to the king, let's have a little contest between the priests of Baal and me. And let's make it on Mount Carmel. Now, there's a little dig there. Mount Carmel was part of Queen Jezebel's dowry. So he really wants to rub it in. So they kill those two animals, and the priests of Baal sing and dance, and they slash themselves. You might have seen things like this if you've ever seen a film about Santeria in the Caribbean, voodoo, things like that. So they're doing that dance, and at the end it says there was no noise, nothing happened, nothing. You got to remember, in Hebrew, they don't have a comparative or superlative degree. So to say bigger, you have to say big, big. And to say biggest, you have to say big, big, big. So how would we say holiest? This is why we're always repeating things 3 times in Mass. Even when God created us, remember? God created us, male and female, He created us. In His own image and likeness, He created us. We're the createdest. And what is Baal? Nothing happened, nothing. He's the nothingest. Not only did He not answer, He doesn't even exist. And again, Elijah likes to rub it in a bit. They cleaned up the translation a bit. It says, maybe your God is meditating. In Hebrew, it says, maybe He's on the can. So, whereas, when it comes time for Elijah to offer his sacrifice, do you notice they water it down 3 times? Again, no accident. And fire comes from the sky. Fire, lightning. If God sends lightning from the sky, who's the true God of the storm? The God of fertility, the God of rain? Yahweh. So this is one of those moments in Israel's history where they go from saying there's many gods, but we only worship Yahweh, to saying there's only one God, Yahweh, who's the God of all nations. Now, what does this teach us? Many of us have minor gods that we sometimes worship. TV, food, our opinions, our resentments. There's a great book called Addiction and Grace. It gives a list of over 100 of these addictions, things we're stuck on, that we made our own little gods. And when I read the list during a retreat, I always tell people, you have to find at least 10 that you're addicted to. Because if you don't find 10, you're addicted to lying. We all have these minor gods that are just too important. Like Elijah, we've got to remember that they are nothing, nothing, nothing. And our God is the only God that we will ever worship, the only God we'll ever love.